Hello, everybody! Oh, there's a cool start. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief. I was just showing everybody before we hit the record button here, Sjord's Algonator is just rocking it here. And so I'm all full of piss and vinegar this morning. I'm just so excited. And actually, what I'm really pleased to see that just the whole website experience is coming along really nicely. It's a slow, long process, but we are making progress, so I'm feeling really good about that. But good morning, everybody. It is where are we here? It is Wednesday, October 31st. Happy Halloween! Boo! Ghost says boo. If you ever run into Liam, ask Liam what a ghost says, and he will say, "Ghost says boo." This is actually his favorite holiday of the year. Anyway, so good morning, everybody. Actually, we were just joking a little bit surprised that the users online still pretty heavy here. So we were kind of wondering whether the sentiment is backed off. I do notice that there isn't as much insane euphoria for the daily briefs when the crypto market was all hot there, 6-8 months ago. But what I am really impressed with is, the professionalism of you guys are just showing up day in, day out. I'm here to learn how to trade. I know it takes time, it takes practice, it takes repetition. And I see, guys who are serious about this just showing up day in, day out. Very, very proud of that. As always, we've got the mayor of Vienna, Mr. Habsburg himself, driving the bus. How are you this morning?
I'm pretty good, Brian. How are you?
Excellent, thank you. And a special treat, we've got Thomas the Bear with us this morning. He's going to give us an awesome presentation as always. How are you doing, sir?
Pretty good. Thank you for asking.
Thank you. Awesome. Great. Nice that you checked in. We also asked, and I kind of like to do this, open up the forum. I know Bugra has reached out and asked whether he could do another presentation of his algos that he's writing on TradingView. So we'll try and pencil him in. I apologize, Bugra, we can't do it right now because we got pretty full docket here. Today, we actually asked Albert if he could come on and do a little presentation for us, just a quick summary of what his marketing efforts are on TRI and if there's anything he wanted to bring to the community. And he said he had a couple paragraphs that he wanted to just review with you guys. So, Albert, how are you doing this morning? Are you with us, Chief?
Hello, everyone. Hey, Brian. I am here.
Awesome. And he's got a microphone. And I love Albert. It's kind of like Thomas. Actually, all of you guys. Well, not all, but a lot of you guys. It's so cool talking to you. You just have nice, calm demeanor. I'm in control. I'm the man. So I love talking to Albert. Albert is just smooth as silk. Anyway, so I can't wait to hear from him this morning and give you guys an update on that front. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about other stuff later on, but nonetheless, let's hit the ground running. We've got Mr. Bear in the house, and of course, whenever he's around, he's got an action-packed itinerary for us. So where do we want to begin today? Are we going to begin with crypto?
No, I think we had Albert wanted to kind of say hello to the community. Are you ready to do that, or
do we want to do that right off the bat? Is that what we're thinking? Albert, are you ready? Do you think you feel like you can speak now, or do you want to maybe talk a little bit later on?
No, I think this is good for me. It's good to start. So, well, since this is the first time I'm on the Daily Brief, actually, I guess I should say, hey, everyone, I'm Albert.
Hi, Albert. And we've got your cool picture. What does that say? Never something?
Yeah, actually it says never ever on time, but I guess today.
Okay. That's an interesting picture. He's got some cool ass sunglasses. Where are you reporting in from the world these days? Can you tell us?
Yeah, currently I'm in Gibraltar.
Gibraltar, what a cool place.
The very, very southern part of, Spain and Europe.
Awesome.
And usually it's very sunny, but today it's actually like stormy.
Oh,
no problem.
All right.
Yeah.
If you get a chance, I think there's going to be a big UK meetup in December. I don't know what plane tickets cost to pop up to London for that, but I think they would all love to see you there.
I'm definitely thinking. I'm actually in the UK group and following closely. So if
Excellent.
I'm available, I'm definitely gonna head over there. Just like I came down to Vienna.
No, that was such a great time. In fact, actually, Stuart and I are still trying to resurrect that video interview I did with all you guys. That was such a great experience in Vienna. And Mr. Habsburg was my host there. Big shout out to Alex. He did a bang up job hosting me there, and special treat to Joanna for putting up with Brian while the Canadians invaded Austria. So I better shut up here because I have a bad habit of doing this. Go ahead, sir. I'll put myself on mute. You've got the floor, and Brian, shut the hell up. And I don't know, what should we be? Maybe I'll just be putting my screen on here so that I don't know what you're showing everybody, Alex. But
Albert, green, Brian. We're on your screen.
All right, cool. So Albert, we'll just have the Rational Investor site up. If there's any page or anything that you want me to put up here in particular, just direct me, okay?
Yes, sir. I don't have any page actually, so I think we're good with that.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're working on several fronts. Some of them you've already mentioned, and some actually Stuart has mentioned. But today I actually have a very special request, and that's briefly what we want to do is gather some verified reviews on a third-party website, which is called Trustpilot, and is very, very well known.
That link or something that I can just throw up so people know what website you're talking about?
Yes, but give me a second to finish because they don't have to go there directly, but we'll invite them to go there directly to our page.
Beautiful. All right. Yeah, I'm sure you have this all laid out, but if there's links or anything you want me to show, just let me know, okay?
I'll try and put a picture here. Let me see if it works. I just commented in the Hangout. Basically, yeah, just to reason a bit why we want to do that is obviously we have on the website all those wonderful testimonials, and thank you everyone for those. You don't see like, tens or hundreds of them on every website, and especially so detailed. So that's definitely a lot of value, but obviously some more skeptical people could say, hey, you just did that, you put them on there because you're scammy. Obviously we're not, and everyone here knows that. Outside people maybe don't, and maybe some of them will just need further proof. And this is what this website is basically bringing to the table. Verified reviews by a third party. Yeah, basically how we want to do this, and what Brian has already.
Is this the right page I'm showing here?
Yeah, that's correct.
And long and short of it is people don't have to necessarily go to this. You're going to sort of put this all together in a package for them?
Correct. So whoever has some time and wants to help basically just get in touch with me on the lounge in the chat, and I'll send you an invitation via email right away to the email that you signed up on DRI. From there, you'll be led to like a review page. That's the email that Brian is showing. You just click the link or the stars or anything in there will lead you to the same page where you can just rate us from 1 to 5 stars and leave a review. And then while pressing send, that automatically makes it verified. And that's about it, really. Pretty simple.
Okay, so this is sort of building up our foundation of TRI marketing efforts and trying to build a, like Albert said, a third-party unbiased sort of source for reviews so that people don't feel as though maybe they are, our reviews were kind of cooked, right? So I think that's an excellent idea. As Albert's sort of working away, if he needs any help from anybody on the site, we'll sort of give him sort of an open window here to pop into the daily briefs and send out a request to the community. Okay, was that basically what you wanted to talk about today? Is there anything else that's on your mind, or are we done for Albert's contribution for today?
I think for today we'll keep it short, but with the mention that very soon we'll have some more updates. So hopefully next week I'll be able to either me or Sjord come again here and announce some new stuff.
Fantastic. I mean, ultimately, what we really want to do is take these daily briefs as a public presentation and really drive traffic through that. So we got lots of stuff planned going forward, but we want to take this very step-by-step, methodical, and have all our ducks lined up. And kind of in the past, we sort of jumped forward and then went, oh, wait a minute, we don't have that in place. We don't have that in place. So if anything, I really like having Albert here because he's just like, guys, you got to do that. You got to get that done. Got to get that done. All right. So thank you very much for your professionalism. Really awesome. And of course, Brian Beamish says, rarely has marketing been as silky smooth. Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay, so if you do want to participate in Albert's request, just throw him a PM. And if we could maybe have a half a dozen people or so that, think somewhat highly of TRI, it would make our and his efforts a lot better. So thank you very much, sir. All right, Mr. Bear, are you ready to attack?
I see a lot of disproportionate boobies in the MACD.
Disproportionate boobies. All right. That's a technical term, right?
It is. This is how we identify divergence. The left breast always has to be one if you're looking for a bullish divergence. I'm sorry if that was inappropriate. I just wanted to kick off here with a little bit of wake up and pay attention here, because this is what's going on in the stock market. And for what I'm seeing, this is your and of course I can't use my animal references because of Christian. So this is your bounce up to 38.2. And these divs are across the
classic first stop target Ray Barbecue. We haven't talked Ray Barbecue in a while, eh? But
yeah, it's been a while since we've had our barbecue levels. I hope everyone brought their ribs and steaks to the party, because I want this to last a lot longer than just 38.2 if this is going to recover. And it just makes perfect sense that this is kind of bouncing a little bit just before next week's elections. It's almost like it's too perfectly timed, but I don't see us jumping all the way up to the high end of the range in less than a week here before Tuesday's election. And, Trump's been actually coming out every day and saying, well, if you look at the whole picture, the economy's done pretty well since I've come into office. And, he loves patting his own back. But I think a lot of Americans are going to be going to the polls with that in mind, and a lot of commentary from the Fed. They're seeing their account balances much lower than what they were just a few weeks ago. And perhaps that'll be impacting the way that they vote in the polls. But we're not here to talk politics. We're here to talk technicals, and we're here to talk markets. And I actually would love Brian to talk about all of the div here and a div here and a div everywhere, because that's what you were doing. And you didn't get to say that on the YouTube, on the broadcast.
Yeah, that's funny. Before we started recording, I was like, holy shit, guys, you got to check out Sjord's tool. Look at all these divs. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. And I think Alex was like, Brian, why don't we start the show and then maybe talk about it while the show's on? I thought that was great. But yeah, Sjord, and this isn't easy. It's very, very difficult to actually get the computer. Because keep in mind, computers only do what they're told to do. It's just as simple as that. So what you have to do is you have to go through the logic step by step and just simply slowly show the computer what it is that you want it to find. And we've been battling with this for, probably a good, at least a couple of years. And, we get sidetracked with, various different things on the site and business and all that. But so pleased with Sjord's progress. And now, of course, we have the entire, the website, which is basically his baby here. And under the screeners today, you can see, excuse me, lots and lots of signals were generated. And, kind of like what I've been talking about with the stock market itself, if you just follow these major indexes, And it's so sad because there was a guy that I really respect in the market, but gee whiz, he's terrible at these calls. Ralph Acampora, back in '98, just like it was yesterday. I mean, I guess I'm so old, I don't even, like 20 years doesn't it just goes by in a heartbeat for a guy like me. But I remember distinctly watching back in '98, Ralph fell into the same trap. Basically, the market had melted down. Lots of talk of, the shit hitting the fan and the economy going in the tank, blah, 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 blah. Ralph, Mr. Market Technician comes out and says, that's it. It's over, and the damn market turns around and rallies to new highs. And I'm worried because I think Ralph just fell into the same damn trap. And what's weird is that he came out and made this comment basically right at the bottom of the market. Poor guy. And the bottom line here is, this is just a simple out of the box RSI study. But if we start seeing W's in our indicators, is that necessarily a good time to be shorting? I don't think so. And so, just based on, we had these potential divs all forming. And I remember talking in yesterday's daily brief, and I think even on the Broiler Chicken show, that I was like, gee whiz, if these divs start firing here, well, that probably means that, the quote unquote correction, crash, whatever the hell you want to call it, is probably getting near done. And so what was really cool this morning was pulling up Sjord's Algonator. And hopefully you guys can see, I mean, look at these divs. They're everywhere. This is Comerica. I think that's like insurance company. This is Air Products. I don't know who the hell these guys. Beautiful divs. I don't know whether I'm showing the right screen here or not. Alex, if I'm not, and we're not screen sharing, just correct me.
We're good, yeah.
Okay. Analog Devices. Just the most beautiful divergences. And of course, everybody should be able to see Willie's nice and stupid here. We always say that Willie unto himself isn't enough of a reason to take a trade, being either stupidly overbought or stupidly oversold. But the very bottom line here is now we have, and this sort of coincides with the day trade or the swing trading platform that I've been sort of running. And we should be able to get this swing trading platform, the signals with the Willie overbought or oversold, and then the divergence in MACD. And then finally, you hunt for structure to take the trade. And this swing trading on balance has been going pretty well. I've been very pleased with what I've seen results-wise. And it's interesting, too, as I sort of tried to morph the out-of-the-box system. And I talked about this yesterday. The crude oil spat up a signal, but the divergence was way, way, way too long, and turns out the trade failed. So anyway, the point that I'm trying to make here is that the Algonator, and hopefully you can all see these just beautiful divergences coming in across the board. I mean, just absolutely textbook. And I'm so, so happy that we have the system now catching this. I mean, can everybody see the double divergence here? I mean, this is the poop, guys. If you will have, reload zone tools to help you identify trade location. And we'll do something along the lines of, 90-day RLZs, 180-day RLZs, and 365-day RLZs. Here's a great example of basically just a 52-week range, 365-day RLZ. You can see we came down into a buying window here. So it really shouldn't surprise anybody. And of course, the level twos, gap theory, beautiful gap fill right there, bang. And of course, look at the just insane divergence on that gap fill. And look at the end result coming out the other side. Rally, rally, pitcher's named Sally. I'm just tickled pink. I'm so happy. I mean, it's taken us forever to get to this point. Sjord, hats off to you, dude. You finally did it. Way to go. And so I'm just super, super excited going forward. And keep in mind, we got a database of like 14,000 stocks. We got I think 1,000 plus cryptos that we're following. So the signals that are going to come out are, oh my God, I'm just so excited. Thomas sort of, I mean, look at these divs. I can't tell you guys how long I've been waiting for this. Look at this. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. All of these. Oh, good. They're so sexy. It's just awesome. So there you go. Look at that. I got so excited. Bugra bailed. That's hilarious. Anyway, so put it all together, and I'm feeling pretty optimistic. I'm really, really happy at what I'm seeing going forward here. Okay, so that's Brian. Holy moly, what a mouthful. Hey, that's a good looking chart. All right, so while I'm blabbing away, it looks like Thomas is just surfing around. You ready to take the reins back here, Chief, and carry on?
Yeah, just really going through all these names to see what looks sexy. It's really interesting to see that Brian's seeing a lot of those divs coming in. I'm seeing a lack of structure across some of the names that I follow. There was one name.
Everybody remember that, right? It goes location, divergence, then structure, then go. I don't necessarily have any actual trades firing here. I mean, how the hell do you trade this Estee Lauder? I mean, what kind of fucking price action is that? You can't take a trade here. So I totally agree with you, sir. I just, I should back up just a moment. We've got the location tool. We got the divergence tool. Now we have to wait for the W. So I totally agree with you there. I apologize if I misled anybody there, because and I'm glad you said that, because it's important. We don't really have a heck of a lot of W's working yet in the market.
Yeah. So what I'm really looking for is conveying here.
Did you guys hear that, or was that just me? My system cut out, but we lost your audio there.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. So, I mean, I want to be talking about trades that I'm taking so that, this is some value put forth. And I posted a chart last night on Twitter, and I just want to kind of scroll through here as I'm going up. But it's interesting, like most of these stocks have really made new lows. And, a name like Snap isn't really something you want to be buying up. But maybe it was Twitter or it was Netflix, but I'm definitely tracking both Twitter and Netflix. And I'm going to be looking to buy calls. And this one, excuse me, this one looks like it's really come away from us. This div is really, you got to look left to try to find it. I think it's just coming in now. So maybe we could use a weekly chart to take our cues. This is ugly, so maybe not quite. And this sure looks head and shoulders-y. So, wow, that looks like shit.
Can you go back to the daily chart there?
Yeah, I was just taking a look. Do you think this looks head and shoulders-y?
Could be. Like what I see happening here is, if you go back to your daily chart, that thing looks like Swiss cheese. So We're certainly not done playing around with the bottom. This is exactly what we just talked about a moment ago, where divergences are coming in, the systems are going crazy. But do you have any structure here to work with yet? And that monster gap down there at 28, 29 bucks, I think has to be filled in before you can really start getting too excited. And then also too, this is a perfect analogy of the 38.2 Ray barbecue test. In fact, can you scroll out there a little bit and let's see where that low is from that previous swing. So if you can draw a horizontal support and resistance line off of the low from, it looks like the end of July there. That's probably going to be key support, and that looks like it's just about the top of the gap there, right? So I would fully expect the market, and dead cat bounce. They clean up the technical picture here. If this thing goes just straight up into reload zones, then I think the pros will be starting to short this thing again. To be a buyer, I would even draw a fib off of today's high back down to that 26.19 low and see if a reload zone lines up with that gap. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure. I like that idea. That's I'm looking to hopefully get in on this on the long side on a move back downward. That gap is definitely of interest to me.
What I like here is Twitter in chief. He gets himself into trouble in this election, and Twitter comes off after the election. Sorry, I know I'm terribly interrupting. Bad job.
Twitter and oh, you're talking about Mr. Election Time. Yes, Mr.
Yeah,
Twitter in
and
Chief.
the whole reason why I think
I like that. I don't know why I didn't pick up on that. Mr. Twitter in Chief. There you go. He sure is. He's always firing off that.
That's what they call him, right? Twitter in Chief.
You're right. I try not to follow the mainstream media too often, but I mean, I do like this trade if it does come back down into value here, and that is the gap area. And I'd probably be looking for like a 50%, maybe an option play. I was just hunting options on this. Note these are the socks. I was fucking around there. This is over here, and yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. I'm sure you'll hear from me about it. But I neglected to mention yesterday that I've gotten out of a lot. I got out of all of my puts. Like I don't know if it was Monday when I sold off my Apple puts. Those got closed out. I made a nice profit off of those. Do I have an Apple chart here? So it was this big move down here that actually gave me my triple. Yeah, so this was Monday. And Monday's move down here closed me out of my Apple puts. I closed out my dog position on the long side. Dog is the inverse Dow. So that was profitable for me as well. I also had a bunch of options working on some pharma names to the downside, which are also closed out. So to be fully transparent here, I've actually closed out all of my short positions now. So I'm no longer short this market as of it looks like today. The last pharma position closed out about an hour ago. And I'm looking to play these bounces here. And as far as playing them through derivatives, that's a little more advanced. I don't know if we'll jump into that. But I like playing, maybe just regular buy some of these stocks because I'm always trying to capture the downside movement. And that's always through derivatives because shorting through my platform is frankly a nightmare. And the last thing I want is to get a phone call from my broker that, I put the short on wrong and I owe them, $200,000 or something because the trade.
Well, and it's interesting. I was seeing on Twitter, be careful with the options. One guy said that he was up $1,500 on a position and he went and sold to close. And it turns out he fat fingered it and he sold, I guess he said he sold to close 7 contracts and he wiped out his account. So be careful.
Wait, so how does that happen? He wiped out his account or just the derivative position that he put on?
I can't remember it just off the top of my head. I don't really like to pay attention too much to the Twitter. I just sort of read through very quickly. I suppose I can find it for you, but the long and short of it here is he said he had one option and he wanted to go and close it out on a profit, but he ended up selling 7 options and it sent his account into an absolute disaster.
Whoops. Yeah, double check when you go to sell, please.
Yeah, don't oversell. And the interesting thing is like some accounts, my account, I do not want to be short options. And so I even told them, I said, look, if you see me writing an option that I don't have a position in or something along those lines, being short the option, please have the system reject the order. And they're like, oh, no, we can't do that. We can't do that. But yes, piss off. But yeah, I mean, frankly speaking, I don't really think any of us really need to get into the business of being short options. It's not worth it. Kind of like being short stock, right? Anyway, sorry for interrupting. I see Sjord popped in here. Sjord, did you have something you wanted to bring to the community's attention? No, you're just here to hang out? Cool. Awesome. All right. Sorry. I don't see Sjord on these daily briefs every day, so when I saw him pop in, I thought maybe he had something to say to the community. But anyway, go ahead, sir. Apologize.
The dollar has my attention right now. Yesterday, we were talking about the dollar was just shy of closing above its previous high in August. And today we've definitively broken that. So I think, after yesterday's commentary, when we asked why would people be putting money into the US dollar, and the answer was because interest rates are going up and all you simply have to do is plop your money down and it grows for you. I think that's what we're seeing here. And technically speaking, I think that this ABCD is actually pretty live. I'm taking a bottom of 88.25 to 95, and I'm going to use 93 as our low, and that shoots us over just to 100 or thereabouts. And I think that's probably realistic. That yellow line is kind of like I think the last, or support and resistance is really what I use that as. So I drew that as, and I guess you can't see it easily, but here's where I drew that from, and that was an area in the market that I think needed attention, came back to it, but we really haven't retested that to the upside just yet. And I think that at this point, that's really calling the dollar. And I've got reload zones drawn up here. Currently, we're sitting just shy of Mountain Man. So I think the dollar's a runaway train to the upside right now. And it's interesting to see that we're starting to see the markets move in accordance to the dollar's relative strength. The euro is certainly broken down again. And this is very close to making new lows below 1.13. I think we're probably going to try to retest. I mean, look, here's where our reload zone is, down here at 78.6 at 1.08. That's probably where I see this market eventually heading to. Juliet de Klerk is probably really, really upset with her call. I know that she's going to be speaking at a conference in Vancouver. The Macro Voices guys are having a conference in Vancouver that would be awesome if Brian was actually a reporter on the field. We could get you to check in and tell us what's going on. I'll send you the details about that. They've got a really great all-star lineup. And so I'd love to hear what she has to say as far as her predictions, because she thought the euro was going to pop above 125. And at this point, that doesn't happen this year, unless Mario Draghi pulls a rabbit out of his hat and manages to save the euro. But this looks very head and shoulders-y now. And at a Mountain Man tag of 1.11, that's probably where we'd expect our first bounce. But that, I think, is a magnet to this market at this point, especially now that we're retesting these lows.
Didn't we say yesterday, man, don't fucking touch the long side of this thing until that bearish divergence is played out?
Yeah, exactly. So, and the other thing is you've got this bull div that's trying to come into the market, but like Brian said, you really have to wait for all these things to confirm. And this is a perfect example of when you jump the gun on a trade before the signals confirm, you're going to get burned more often than not. And that's why patience is a virtue in this game. So as far as the dollar's continued strength, you'd expect gold to be weaker. And that's what we're starting to see. Gold has pulled off from its 1240 test. And interestingly, we never really got to 1245. We got really close to 1243. But, this thing actually got rejected quite hard that day. This was, I think, on Friday.
Mr. Barbecue Man fucking punched the market in the nose there.
Yeah, nobody showed up with beer, so everyone left the party early. And that's what we're seeing right now.
Here's a bucket of water on the barbecue. It's over.
Yeah, this party's done for now. I think the only saving grace, if you will, for this market is that we're testing the original breakout area, which is that blue line. I think a close below that will quickly, or at least magnetize us to the 1190 range. So if you're a range trader on gold, I think this is kind of like your paradise right now. Close below that line will magnetize you to 1190. And then potentially, if the dollar keeps moving higher, I really see us losing these lows here. Gold's lunch looks like it's in trouble. And then, of course, you got your M's and Willie. And interestingly, OBV doesn't have a nice M, but you also have this divergence working here, which is, I think, confirmed on today's action. Nope, not just yet. This will confirm our divergence. This is a lower high. So gold looks like it's in some hot water here. Unless something happens to the US dollar, I think we're back onto the dollar controls these commodity inverse relationships. And, dollar up, gold down is very much on the table here.
You see the 38.2 that was just hit on the downside here now on gold. Isn't that remarkable how that damn level keeps coming in? It's remarkable.
Yeah.
So, if anything, I'm watching the metals closely, and it almost looks like silver is sort of leading the charge here, right? Nasty Emmys in silver. And I think, coming out of the election in 2000, 2016, was it? The end of 2016. One of the first markets that popped was copper. All right, good old professor of economics. And I think I mentioned this yesterday, but I'm not certain. You know, that was through this. And literally, this was the reaction of Mr. Trump winning that election in copper. So I wonder whether they're actually going to unwind that if the Democrats come and take control of the U.S. Congress again. Does literally copper have to just work its way right back down to the original breakout? You know, like I like to follow the gold and silver stocks, which are basically a good proxy on the metals markets. And of course, they're not very happy. They are coming into a very interesting level here. Remember, we had said that the gold and silver stocks like to lead the commodities. So we'll see how this acts in here. But I got to tell you, copper, professor of economics, not happy at all right now. The election, of course, coming up. I think this is a political football. If you know, you could argue that there's a bunch of trap bears right in that tail right there, and that's probably a reload zone as well. And so you can literally see the whole damn market is setting up into this election. Everything is setting up. Really, really good anecdote for all of you guys to see how powerfully the market sets up into these fundamental event windows. I mean, can you guys see? Bobo, like you're a pretty smart guy. Can you see the market setting itself up? Everything's sort of setting itself up as we're heading into this big fundamental event window. Hopefully you guys are seeing this. So, you know, quite literally the way I would look at this is, you know, Republicans win, business as usual, this thing bottoms, and away we go. Democrats win. Mr. Trump is got 2 years of headache ahead of him. A lot of the policies and stuff that were put in place with the Republicans controlling Congress start to get unwound. And I wouldn't be surprised if the professor continues his way lower. So fascinating times we're living in here. And the only thing I would add to Thomas's conversation is I'm actually quite shocked at how nasty the breakdown here is in silver. And I suppose that doesn't make someone like Dav very happy. Doesn't he own like half of the silver stocks of the world? No, I'm just being silly now. And actually, I'd be interested. I mean, I know you were chomping at the bit to try and buy some silver there a while ago. Are you on pause there now, or are you thinking
Definitely. I'm not touching gold or silver with the dollar strength right now.
Okay, cool. Last comment I would make about the dollar, and maybe Mr. Bear, you might want to zoom your chart out a little bit, because what's fascinating here is if we actually look at the dollar from its ultimate peak back in 2016, an interesting U.S. dollar basically peaked right into that election as well, and then as soon as Mr. Trump and the Republicans took over the U.S. government, boom, down goes the U.S. dollar index. Maybe the dollar index itself is foreshadowing the Democrats coming back. I don't know. Tough to say. But I do find it fascinating how all they've done is they've just basically rallied the U.S. dollar right back up into a reload zone. Can everybody see this? So, you know, maybe this is the expression of this move up into these levels here is the Fed continuing their raising their rates until they break the economy, and then they have to start lowering them again. Democrats coming back into control in the U.S. government. Maybe it's a short-lived 2-year duration. Democrats go and screw something up, and the Republicans come piling back in. Who knows? Maybe it's to do with you know, Italy officially in the pooper. But long and short of it, and I actually like Thomas's thinking. That is, you know, this thing has broken out to new highs. So if that's the case, yeah, what are we showing there? I guess we're showing Thomas's screen. Kellogg's profit hit by bet on single serve snacks. Let's see if I can. I guess maybe Alex is gone. You should be on your screen now. All right. Well, I just wanted the last comment. If ever, oh yeah, there you go. You know, do yourself a favor and just pull up this U.S. dollar index chart and throw on your reload zones. And actually, what we're seeing in the market, I don't know what the proper AB equals CD is. I think you said you're going off of this high here, Thomas. Is that correct? Are you
I'm using the 80, yeah, that low.
So if we do go there to there and then clone that and project that off of these lows, yeah, that takes us right into these old highs here. So actually, I kind of like Thomas's sort of, I'm going to cool my jets on the being too bullish of the gold and silver as the US dollar is breaking out here. We should probably watch, and maybe Seward's indicator will start spitting up divergences and stuff on US dollar instruments. We'll keep an eye out for that. But I got to agree with you. It's awfully tough to be a metals bull in the face of the US dollar breaking out to new highs there. All right, sorry about that. Jesus, Brian, I don't know what it is. I start and I can't stop myself. Sorry about that.
It's those frosted flakes you have for breakfast.
I guess so. Maybe somebody's putting some funny juice in my vape thing. I don't know. But I got to tell you, and Seward's here. I mean, literally, when Seward put up his screen results and then said, okay, and I can start, putting the charts together. I like to follow these little grids, and he said he could spit up the signals on one of these grid systems like this until we get our charting platform up and running. And I was just like, oh my God, you're going to make me faint. So.
Oh, Seward, you're making me feel hot.
Well, Seward's a cute guy anyway. There he is. Look at him. He's a handsome guy. If I was gay, I might go that way. I'm not, but what the hell? An auto frag minutes of this, Ralph. Okay, so where should we go next? We've been talking actually a shitload about the stock market. We should probably go and talk a little bit about crypto here, right?
Yeah, I think it's time to wish Bitcoin a happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday to you. Dun, dun. Isn't that interesting? I never realized that he put out his white paper on Halloween. Do you think he did that on purpose?
I don't know. Maybe he was into Halloween parties and he wanted to finish his white paper for his college professor so he could go out, dress up, and hit on some ladies for Halloween when they dress up in their costumes. Hit a deadline.
But yeah, and I think actually I don't think I tweeted anything out about that, but I've seen tons of tweets about it. It is officially 10 years, eh?
That's incredible.
10 years. Since here it is, Bitcoin is 10 years old. So fascinating that's been 10 years, eh? Remarkable. Anyway, all right, where do we want to go next?
Let's run through some news quickly before we jump into technicals again. I'm going to highlight some of this stuff. So Circle's stablecoin, according to this article, is kind of leading the pack here. And when I read this article, it was actually really astonishing to me because since this thing has launched in September, according to Bloomberg, more than $127.4 million has flown into this Circle stablecoin, which is way more than Gemini received, which is about 13 million. And I think, when you think back about what happened to Tether the last couple of weeks, the more I really think this was an engineered thing, because you've got Circle partnering with, they're basically owned by Goldman Sachs, right? So would it make sense that Goldman Sachs is connected in a way that they could disrupt a certain banking institution? So let's say they figured out who Tether was banking with, and they said, listen, we'll give you X amount of money, or we'll give you this amount of favors, whatever the hell they needed to do, just so that it made it seem like Tether was illiquid and they were having banking issues, so that they engineered this demand for their own coin. I mean, this is purely speculative and it's conspiracy theory crap, but that's what I believe.
We have compromising photographs of you, Mr. Dixon.
Well, speaking of Mr. Dixon, and he's in the, or Mr. Diamond, not Mr.
Dixon. Oh no! Did he actually swear?
He did. So yesterday there was
he actually lost some weight, eh? Man, he looks thin. I wonder if he's sick.
Well, it's amazing what happens when you start eating your debt.
It's not very nutritious, is it?
Evidently, he doesn't look like he doesn't look so healthy. But on Tuesday, he spoke at an Axios conference in LA, and he was asked why he hasn't changed, or asked why he changed his mind on Bitcoin. And he basically said, and I'll quote, "I never changed what I said. I just regret having said it. I didn't want to be the spokesman against Bitcoin. I don't really give a shit. That's the point, okay? Blockchain is real, it's technology, but Bitcoin is not the same as a fiat currency." So didn't he come out and say something like this around this time last year? And he's like, we don't care about Bitcoin, doesn't matter. And then the thing took off like a rocket ship.
And this article came out 2 hours ago, and look at my chart here. This is a 2-hour chart of Bitcoin, and look what happened. That's crazy.
Incredible. I think the market likes to shit on Jamie Dimon.
That's incredible. Old man yells at Bitcoin, right, Shane?
Yeah, exactly. So that's Jamie Dimon in the news. I want to talk briefly about what I said yesterday about Coinbase going public. I'm not sure if I specifically stated that it was conjecture, and essentially a guy by the name of Rand Neuner, who's on CNBC, he stated publicly that he received internal documents from Coinbase that they plan to go public. And then you have the COO of Coinbase going on Bloomberg this morning and basically saying, no, we don't have plans to go public anytime soon. But they've just finished raising $300 million. I think they're trying to get more institutional investors on board so that they can cater to them when it comes to custodial offerings, trading offerings, whatever it may be. Now, whether or not they're going to go public soon or not, who knows, right? It's smoke and mirrors when it comes to IPOs. And really, there's no way you or I can make money from a Coinbase IPO unless you're accredited and you can actually get in on some kind of series round of funding and funnel some money in that way. But you really have to be well connected for that at this point. So that's the Coinbase IPO news. This I thought was really strange, but worthwhile mentioning. eToro is kind of like an investment platform similar to, or maybe not so similar, but like Robinhood. And they already have a bunch of coins listed. Here's the list. You can look at it while I keep blabbing. What I found really strange is that they decided to list Binance Coin on here. So I think Binance, they're guys running around the world making connections. They've made a clearly a decent one here with eToro. So that's another way of furthering their own coin. But really, what the hell are you going to use a Binance coin for other than reducing your fees? And I think we used to call it the Beyonce coin about a year ago. So it's weird. It is what it is.
Is that BNB kind of like Binance's sort of version of Tether?
I don't know. Is it pegged? I don't think it's pegged.
No, okay. I'm just I don't understand how that thing ever worked.
It's just, it's another speculative one, another shalt coin, if you will. And you use it to pay your fees with it. They charge you for each trade. Here's something else that was cool, and it always grabs my attention when you see executives from really high up companies like Goldman, PayPal. Those guys left and they're joining this company called Cred, which is a blockchain-based company that's evidently going to be providing cryptocurrency loans. Now, this doesn't look like it's live to anybody, but they claim that they have $250 million in global credit facilities. And, they're just positioning themselves to be a crypto bank. And it just kind of makes sense that they would get guys from Goldman and PayPal who would have experience kind of running these quasi-banking institutions like PayPal is.
Would that be like the Salt?
Yeah, probably going to be better than Salt is my guess. Salt really ruined themselves by their ICO and the way they handled their product. I think they're toast, but what do I know? I'm not involved in Salt at all. It's just my personal opinion.
Okay.
So that's the news for this. And then there's just one other thing that I want to cover. And this is something I didn't have time to talk about yesterday. And this is Bittrex. So I don't know if anyone noticed. And let me load the article here. Bittrex.
They're going international, eh?
Yes. Did you hear about this, Brian?
I see lots of tweets and stuff, but if I understand correctly, and if anything, compliance wise, it makes a lot of sense. Is they just want to make sure that nobody can shit on them if they happen to have Schalt coins that aren't sort of SEC compliant. But if I understand correctly, this will give them the ability to trade the Schalt coins that are not SEC compliant.
Potentially. Wouldn't it be crazy if they brought all this shit back after they segregate from Bittrex US to Bittrex Malta? And all of a sudden all the delistings come back?
I've always had with this crypto space, because it's unregulated, is these exchanges will go, they have in the past. I remember they did it on Quacker years ago, where they just delist it and then the coins just mysteriously disappear from your account. And then 6 months later, they relist it and no coins in your account. It's like, what the fuck? You just stole my money.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether this is going to go that route or not, but it is kind of, I think it makes sense. They're probably looking at the business going, okay, look we want to be SEC compliant. We want to make sure we follow the rules, but at the same time, we are losing massive market share. We got to figure something out. And I think that this is their solution.
Yeah, makes sense. Especially everything you said makes sense. I don't even think it needs repeating. So should we jump into some technicals here and see what's going on after Jamie Dimon punched the market upward?
This guy's good. Mind you, there was also this Ethereum conference going on, and I don't know whether you can see my screen, but I actually have a nice little inside bar reversal buy signal coming out of this price action on Ethereum. So I think we were going to have, who was it? One of our Viennese guys, right? Leduc. Alex, did we actually pencil him in to come in and give us a report of how that conference is going?
No, I don't know if he wrote back. I'm not on Telegram anymore, but I think Albert and Dan said that they were going to catch up with him.
Okay, Albert says he mentioned Friday today in the lounge. Okay, I think we also had somebody else who was going to come on Friday too, didn't we?
Yeah, Sam.
Okay, so if anything, you want to take a day off on Friday, Thomas. It sounds like we got a pretty busy docket there. But Leduc is supposed to give us sort of an update, what the heck's going on in Ethereum conference. And I suppose I'll use sort of crypto rockers. Hey, there's Rocker. Rocker. But I know, Shane, you're probably keeping a close eye on what's going on at that conference. But maybe somebody said something. No, you're not. Okay, I apologize. I don't know why I always connect with Ethereum. I don't know what it is. But, if anybody happens to hear of something that somebody said or something at that Ethereum conference that sort of lit a fire underneath the market. Like I said, I'm actually getting a buy signal here on Ethereum, which is good because you guys all remember I'm still nursing my horrible trade from the summer when I came back from vacation, and I should have been stopped out, but I was like, oh, well, I missed a trade, so now I'm going to have to manage this. Maybe now is when we have our counter trend rally on this Ethereum backup so I can close that position out where I was supposed to. Really good lesson for everybody on why you need to close out positions when your stops get hit. But what are you seeing technically going on in the market here?
It's wishy-washy. Like I said yesterday, I didn't want to take a position either way just because it just didn't look like there was any direction here to the market. And I think we're just floating along trying to figure out what we want to do.
They ran the shorts. They got everybody all thinking short there, right? Ran out anybody who was long, run their stops, and then boom, Mr. Dimon. I wonder if that was coordinated, eh? Jesus, that looks awfully suspicious.
Well, it's just another dip down into 6,000 area that got bought up. There's no technical reason why you could have bought this. This is like even past 86 here. So I can't trade this.
I wonder if Bitcoin is not leading here, but the others are leading. I wonder how's our buddy Litecoin looking? Are you still keeping a close eye on your buddy?
Let's take a
No,
look.
I used to like to follow Litecoin really closely.
Yeah, I just think that this is a lot of sideways, back and forthy stuff. Yeah, Litecoin doesn't look as terrible as, well, this is a 4-hour chart, that's why. Let's see an hourly. Yeah, just, how do you buy this thing? I don't understand how you buy it. This is a breakdown to me. This is just, this is flushing out the market. That's simply what I see here. You got a sell signal down to here. I was actually watching the market last night and I was like, I really want to take a short going in here, but I decided not to because there wasn't anything to support. And it looked a lot like what we saw the last 2 weeks, which was a whole bunch of sideways and nothing happening. Turns out it was a good thing I didn't. And, being hands off here has actually saved me a lot of money because this sideways chop will just, again, diminish your account to zero. And you don't want that to happen. So technically speaking, what am I going to do from here? I mean, right now, I don't really see Litecoin leading at all, right? This just looks similar to me across the board. Do you disagree with that, Brian?
Well, I kind of see, if we look at, again, Ethereum looks like it's trying to do something here. And then looking at like the Bitcoin chart, and we just happen to have that on there, it kind of looks like an inside bar just fired here. But when we look at Litecoin, it looks like that inside bar is much more muted. And they're actually trying to press the highs. Can you throw your Litecoin chart back up there?
Sure.
Yeah, there. See, so that inside bar is getting negated. In fact, actually, the inside bar is actually green on Litecoin there, isn't it? So I wonder, whether Litecoin is leading the charge here a little bit. And probably we should just check in on shorts versus longs. Remember, Litecoin longs broke out. They're kind of just going sideways here. I beg your pardon. Yeah, shorts, little toppy, Ethereum, just a big sort of nothing much there. Interesting to see the longs are trying to come back and the shorts might be breaking down here on Bitcoin. I got a funny feeling, and people in the lounge here are saying that Mr. Vase is back touting the short side of the Bitcoin trade again. So, he might be getting chopped up here a little bit. But if these shorts on Bitcoin break down again and the longs break out again, it feels like the market could rally. I don't know. I also, I was just quickly taking a boo across the rest of the markets. I find it fascinating, like this Decred. These guys have just got me sitting here on pins and needles for the past couple of days, just driving me nuts. I said that if the market came back down to my entry, I would just walk away out scratch on this thing. And you can see how it's just sort of fluttering around here, playing with my entry, but it just doesn't want to break down yet. That's probably not the best example, but I looked at some of these like OMG. This is one of Sjord's favorite. It was down quite a bit. It jumped back here. So I wonder if there was like a buy program or something that kicked in on the crypto market here. Looks like Monero. I mean, these are the Tether proxies. I'll probably remove these things going forward, but Monero just painted an inside bar here, so that's encouraging. The Zcash, you can see it's trying to hold on to its breakout level. Even the evil one. I don't know. Actually, I heard quite a bit of talk recently about Bitcoin Cash is being subject to a 51% attack right now. Anybody else heard that? So I don't know. Anyway, it's catching a bit of a bid here this morning. So it almost feels like there was like an across the board buy program that just kicked in there or something on crypto. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Probably a lot of blabbing out of Brian here. I apologize, guys. Not really giving you any trade ideas. It's actually interesting. Somebody had mentioned last night, hey, Brian, I don't see the crypto portfolio trading much right now. And my simple answer is, yeah, we threw on 3 different long proxies through this position trading. But frankly speaking, I don't really want to push too hard right now. If the market's a bull, okay, fine. Go and bottom and break out and give us W's, and then I'll start getting rah-rah on the bull side again. And loading up RLZs, 78.6, sharks, all that kind of fun stuff. But if anything, my message to that person who asked that question is, right now, I think, and kind of what Thomas said there just a few minutes ago, I'm feeling like I just want to cool my jets in crypto and just let this market bottom and break out. And then I'll start, hunting longs. I don't know. That's sort of the same kind of sentiment I'm hearing out of you. Is that correct, Thomas?
I mean, I just see the same thing that I've seen the last few weeks. There's just the reason why you can't give any trades to anyone is because there aren't any to take.
Well, we could always just go and market buy, fuck it, right? But setups, are they really setting up here right now? I don't think so. So
right, there's no setups. This is the important thing. Sure, you could market buy, but no one would listen to us ever again if we started doing that.
Tone vase. Sometimes in trading, it's actually in your best interest just to sit on your hands and just wait for the market to turn. It's kind of like exactly the same thing as Mr. Ralph Akampura. I really don't think it's a good idea to pound the table on the short side too aggressively here. And I think guys who are pounding the table aggressively on the short side are actually getting punished right now. Let the market rally back up into reload short zones, and then we can go in short again. That's fine. But I can completely understand, and I have to agree with Thomas that right now I think we're just in a holding pattern with crypto. I know you guys want to trade. Hey, I want to make money from trading, but sometimes it's just in our best interest just to let the dust settle.
Yeah, I mean, if there's anything that I would be looking at, it's this daily chart here. This, to me, looks like a top and a retest of the underside of that belly of the top. And this would be where you would have gotten your fill, about $50 higher from now. You short the market, and you just look for a retest of either this market here or potentially new lows. But I think we're caught between two areas of market structure. It's like a Zach Galifianakis caught between two ferns thing, where you've got your market structure W, your market structure top, and we're floating in between those levels at this point now. So what I'm really looking for is a resolution of this area here, and I'll put this in a different color because I got lots of freaking lines here. Let's make this magenta, or let's make this white. So a resolution of, call it 61.25, and then anything above, call, and I want a candle body closing above 63.75. That to me will mean that the market has recaptured what it lost earlier this week. And I would say that we're back into that sort of magnetized holding pattern up here, and a close above that level will get us moving back above that holding pattern. So we're caught in a range here. Could you be trading back and forth here? Potentially. That's what I'm going to be looking for. But I've almost lost my feel for the market just because of the way that it's been trading here. And it's interesting to see that on the hourly, the 200-period moving average rejected this thing. So I'm almost leaning toward short, but the problem is when you see what Brian called that buy program come in across the market, where you see this kind of washing of the market, that something's about to happen. And the last time we saw that was probably a month and a half ago, and the market ended up going higher after that. I think it was, where were we? Maybe here? No, I need to do a daily chart. But essentially, when you see patterns like that, it means it's like, someone inserted 25 cents into the machine, and there's a new player ready to join the game. And I think that's what's happened here, is somebody new, or the market is kind of recharging itself, and it's looking for a new game to play. And that's very much what I'm seeing here. And I think this is down around this area, this kind of charge. I don't know where this candle is. I remember it from September. Either way, I mean, you can actually go back and look for stuff like this. This is very much right now. If this closed where it was now, I would call this an indecision candle. You can see almost equidistant wicks on either side of this candle body. And that just to me means that, well, what the hell are we doing here? So those are my closing thoughts there. I'm sorry there's no positions to be taking, but those are my thoughts, and hopefully it kind of plays into a setup going forward in the next few hours, maybe even tomorrow. Who knows? But right now, it's just very much of, as Brian would say, hurry up and do nothing for Mr. Bear.
Yeah, and Stan here just says, hey guys, do you put much stock in the fear of BTC losing its monthly close level? So I just went and pulled up a monthly chart of Stamp. And I guess what I'm thinking here, Stan, is I really do like the idea of them printing this and then a nice little counter trend rally, just like you saw off of here and then off of here. I don't know how this is going to, develop, but I definitely like the idea of a nice little sort of rally against this low here. And again, that would probably set up that reload short zone. If we just simply say lower highs and lower lows defines a bear market, well, then basically this is just validating that there is no bottom in the market yet. Is it a good idea for us to be shorting here? I don't think so. I do like the idea, if you are short inclined, that you just wait for the counter trend rally, whatever peak it is. And I wouldn't be surprised if they actually go up to that level there. And then we roll over and make another new low. So, maybe we get sort of a bit of a reprieve, on this sort of ETF backed, all that kind of talk, to set up the next shorting window. And also too, little suspicious of the fact that, yeah, we are going to print a new low, but you can see the volume is actually decelerating here. It's not accelerating. So I think, you make a perfectly valid point, Stan, that on the monthly basis, if we print here, we're going to print a lower closing low. This close was 63.8570, sitting 63.70, 63.10 right now here on Stamp. Could they rally it? What is that? $75 here before the end of today to actually negate that? That could easily happen. Maybe that's what's going on with the buy program. I can completely understand your concern about printing a new lower low here on the monthly charts. And if anything, Stan, what that tells me is that, yeah, the trend, unfortunately, there are no W's here yet off the higher time frames, and we just got to be patient. And, like Stan, we talk about, you know this, what's sort of the typical duration of a bear? It's about 18 months. So the cool part about monthly chart, 18 months, we really should expect this thing to sort of officially turn somewhere over here. So could we have, another, 4 or 5 months of shit here, especially when we get into the new year? Everybody should remember, the beginning of the year is often pretty soft for things like Ethereum. And I can remember I often talk to you guys, Kevin. He and I would be sitting in the lounge in the middle of February, and the market's totally dead and nobody's interested. And that's where the seasonal bottoms start forming. So put that all together, Stan. That's kind of what I'm thinking here. Excellent point that you make here. There is this isn't a bull yet. It's just as simple as that. And maybe it takes another 6 months or so for us to actually form this monthly W, and then away we go. All right, so only took about 10 minutes there to answer your question, Stan. I don't know. Did you want to add anything to that, Thomas? Well, I think we lost Thomas. All right. Well, it's past the quarter past the hour.
Sorry, I was busy. The only thing that I'll add to that is, yeah, it's interesting to see the monthly close. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to rally it to keep it there, but I think Brian's comments are spot on. The only thing I want to touch on is the weekly chart. And you've heard me talk about sort of these, if you were to drop a bouncy ball from about your height, you'll always see it kind of settle down. And look what's happened. I mean, this looks, it's not quite what you'd expect from a reality physics standpoint, but it looks pretty close. The height of these bounces is progressively lower. And now you see that we've suddenly just kind of stopped bouncing and we're almost rolling along. And I've used this analogy before. The question is, do we stop rolling and then start to go back up, or do we roll off a cliff and then just make new lows?
And those two candles there, not this candle, not the previous one, but the two prior to that with the wick and the tail there, I think you could just draw a nice little horizontal support and resistance lines off of those two levels, that high right there and that low right there. And guess what, guys? That's our trading range.
Yeah, totally. I really like the fact that this is starting to settle down. I think it looks different. Actually, let's go see that real quickly before we sign off, because I don't think I've looked at these charts on a weekly basis going back to, oh, fuck, and of course I can't see them on OKX. Oh, well, maybe we'll do it another time.
Yeah, you've given us food for thought, Stan. We'll put together a nice little piece on sort of higher time frame analysis in the modules ahead, okay? So I think that's a good heads up. Thank you for that reminder, Stan. Fred Drum says, the OTC wildcard, when will that head show itself? That's a really good question. I can't really comment on that, Fred. Maybe Thomas can think about that over the next few sessions. But that's a very good point. I don't know the answer to that. I really don't. Okay, we've gone actually quite past the top of the hour, so we're actually heading into the bottom half of the hour now, and I actually have a class I have to go teach. So I'm going to, I think we probably should wind this up. Is there any sort of closing thoughts you wanted to end the conversation with here today, Thomas?
It's an interesting question about the OTC. I think that we will never know what's going on OTC. That's kind of the point, right? That's why people take their money OTC. They don't want to move the market. They want to get a large chunk of coins, and they want to keep it a secret. So unless you want to go OTC and you have a bunch of money and you can talk to someone at the desk and maybe they give you some information that's helpful, I think that's the only way we're going to find out something like that. So
I think Fred's one of the OTC market makers, and so he's just wondering whether we want to buy any off of him.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Okay, guys. Let's leave it at that today. If anything, in future broadcasts, if we want to talk a little bit more comparisons about 2014-15 bottoms, awesome. But like I said, I got to go teach a class here. So thank you very much for your participation today, Thomas. Top notch, total pro as usual. Excellent stuff. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for driving the bus and keeping us on track. Thank you, Sjord, for kicking ass with the algos, divs everywhere. Oh, hugs and kisses. Beautiful. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Thank you, Albert. And if everybody could help Albert out, that has a half decent impression of TRI, would love to hear from you on that regard. And everybody just keep on kicking ass. I'm so proud of this community. I'm so thankful for all you good people here. And actually, you know what? I think I'm going to leave off with a comment somebody said here to me today, which actually moved me quite dramatically. But I won't say who it was, but this person told me today, they said, hey, BB, been thinking about you and Liam. This keeps coming to my head. Quote, God makes a home for the lonely. Psalm 68:6. You have a home at TRI, and I am sure so many other places. Then I said, I'll leave it at that, actually. Why don't we just leave it at that? But the point here is you guys have given me a home in a very hopeless world. And I want to thank everyone. So I don't mean to get people choked up. I'm sorry. But that really moved me this morning. And I thank each and every one of you for trying to help me through this very trying period of my life. So thank you again. Have a great day, everybody. Play from a position of strength. Make sure to remember what your number one job is. And thank you for being in my life. All the best, everybody. And bye for now.